Well, hi everybody, and welcome to another Kings of Anglia podcast this wonderful Monday morning going into Monday lunchtime, really. I'm Mike Bacon, the big pork, la grande Pucianos, Posiana, pork la grande. And I'll be here hosting this podcast with you, with two of my fellow Kings, two of my fellow good friend Kings. We're a couple missing today, but, you know, the quality is here today. Don't worry about that. I'd just like to introduce my first King, if you're at Forest Green on Saturday, you'd have seen him. You'd have seen him because he was wandering around the pitch. He had this huge camera, the size of an elephant, a huge thing, pointing up at the fans, taking pictures, running on the pitch, running off the pitch, throwing things back at fans, doing all sorts of funny things. And, it's always delightful. I hope people who got involved in game day like chatting to him. I mean, he doesn't really give you much of a choice. He comes sort of like grabs you and asks you silly questions. But don't worry, because that's what we ask him to do. It's Roscoe Halls. Ross, how are you this morning?
I'm much better now. Once again, those intros, Mike, are fantastic. And my lens is an elephant. That's a new to me. I like that. But no, I'm very well. How are you?
Fine, thank you. I mean, like an elephant's trunk, because I saw a picture of it. It seems to be getting bigger. You started off with little lenses, and now they're getting bigger ones. So you must be picking up some good finance to be able to afford that. So anyway, but Roscoe's here, so we'll chat with him later. My other fellow King, and well. What a man he is. I can't say he's my favourite because Stu's not here, but he is really. But this is the Hutch. This is the Hutch, man. We drove to FGR on Saturday, and we drove there and we drove back. We took lots of detours. We'll tell you all about it in a minute. We had lots of fun. We chatted lots of rubbish all the way there, all the way back. It's the Hutch, man. He builds hutches. He knocks them down, puts them up again. He knocks them down. He's got rabbits, horses, cats, dogs. It's Andy Hutch. Warren, Andy, how are you this morning?
As hyped as you. Run me through the Spanish that you were speaking at the start. All the porky Spanish, was that? I didn't recognise a lot of those words.
What long grande persianas?
Yep.
La cuente, por favor.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, you didn't. Yes, you didn't. I speak Spanish. You see, I really could have got involved in any Spanish players Ipswich signed over the years. I could have been.
You could ask them for the bill, could you? That is about it.
Well, I could.
See, I know my Spanish, mate. I know what you just said. La cuenta.
You caught me out there, didn't you? There's me thinking I'm being very clever with my Spanish, and you just go, "Well, he's only said, can I have the bill, please?"
Exactly. Dos cervezas, por favor.
Oh wow, you're joking. Not two.
Well, yeah.
Fantastic.
Para mí y mi. That's it. Yeah, for me and my friend Mike. Para mí y con Mike. I'm with Mike.
See, la casa grande. See,
big house.
Yeah, big house. Rocco Casa. I think I said house again. Anyway.
The red house.
Yeah, the red house. Do you know what? It's extraordinary that our Kings of Anglia friends here think, wow, they're actual linguists. They're not just speaking English, but all sorts of languages. Roscoe, I know you're dying to come in with a bit of Albanian there, so come on, give us some.
Some Italian for you, ciao, come on, stay, all that.
Yeah. Keep going.
See, Napoli, pizza, pasta.
Yeah,
you're fluent. That's sorted.
Yeah, that's sorted. Pizza's not an Italian word. Pizza's pizza.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, okay. That's all. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure our friends enjoyed the first couple of minutes of us showing our linguistic skills there, which border on the ordinary. But they get us around Europe, don't they, Andy? They get us around Europe, which is the main thing.
Just about.
So anyway, look, it's 48 hours, I suppose, coming up 48 hours since Town picked up their first win at Forest Green Rovers on Saturday. First win of the season, and great. I mean, it's wonderful. But Andy, I'll just start with yourself. We tootled up together, didn't we, to the Gloucestershire countryside? I mean, it was quite a little journey, wasn't it?
It was lovely. It was just the two of us on the way there. Although we did queue up for the Cop Dock roundabout with Ross and his mates. A group of young lads just swearing at us at the Cop Dock roundabout, and again on the A12 turned out to be Ross and his reprobate friends. It was lovely. We put the worlds to rights, didn't we? In the 4 hours in the car. Spoke a lot about children, about our children, and a lot about Speedway, which a very high-powered, highly charged, and emotional conversation about Speedway, which ended with a small stop off at Swindon to look at probably one of the most bleak-looking sporting venues that there is in this country at the moment because it's all been knocked down. But it's a former haunt of mine. Anyway, that's a digression. But yeah, lovely journey, wasn't it, Mike? And then we reached Gloucestershire. Truckfest.
Yes. Well, fortunately, Truckfest was on there, and the queues the other way were substantial, weren't they? We're glad we were going on the other road away from Truckfest because that looked very busy. And then we went a lot of fans actually mentioned this. We went into the countryside because Forest Green, if you haven't been there before, which obviously a lot of us hadn't, is really in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's just in the middle of nowhere, and there was horses in the road and on the sides of the road, Andy, as we went through some little Cotswold village, didn't we?
Lovely, yeah. They did look like they were about to stray onto the road at one point, and then we had a little drive through. You quite like Minchinhampton, didn't you?
Yes.
That little town. And as we drove in there, Mike was like, "Oh, it's a proper town square."
Yes.
And then that was nice. And then we reached Nailsworth.
And a little farmer's market there, wasn't there? They were selling eggs and milk and all sorts of things. And probably if I'd asked, they'd have made me a thick shake of some sort, but I didn't ask. Stop. So, Roscoe, did you have this experience on your way to Forest Green? Because I know a lot of Ipswich Town fans did. They loved the journey. It was not like bombing down the M4 or bombing up the M6 and just pulling off left. It was nice.
Yeah, it was nice. Lovely scenery. The Cotswold is lovely. But yeah, we were a bit worried about the horses. Like, they're going to stray in the road in a minute. So we had to be a bit careful because we were like wondering, oh no, this is a bit of a queue here. But it's basically cars just being careful with the horses. But we had to go down like this dodgy hill, where you're like, can we really fit through here with our car? But yeah, it was interesting. Like we jokingly said in the car on the way back, it felt like, Hot Fuzz, the movie Hot Fuzz, going to one of those villages. And it was an experience. Yeah, it was a very unique away day. And it's what you have to do now in League One. You have to go to these sort of places. But it was a lovely place, Gloucestershire.
Andy, little thoughts on the new lawn, as it's called, at Forest Green. I mean, I quite liked it.
Yeah, I liked it too. I know. I'm sure Ross could probably speak about this in a bit more depth, but I think there was some issues for the fans in terms of getting food and drink and things like that. But the ground itself was lovely in the sun. They've lent quite heavily into their green and black color scheme, so there's a lot of green and black around. Talk about some food in a minute, which was nice. But yeah, it's a nice. Yeah, really nice ground that I was looking forward to going to, and I'm glad that I've been. It's unique. It was kind of like I like grounds like that are like lots of different stands, clearly built at different times, kind of all stitched together to create a bit of an odd football ground. And I really liked it.
Club, of course, they're a non-league only in 2017, so they've come. They're a very new football league club. You can see how they've Forest Green developed over the years. We need to be sort of an Olympic gymnast to get into the press area, didn't you, Andy? You had to be a turn and twist, and all sorts of. I mean, at my age, quite frankly, trying to sort of like doing a samba underneath the things to try and sort of get towards my laptop was rather complicated. But how did the town fans find it then, Ross? You chatted to someone. There was a little bit of food issues, but overall, did they enjoy it?
Yeah, I think the big word is it was just so unique. I think a lot of people, if they're wanting to tick off the 92, that was one ground they were looking to do. And the queues were pretty long. But when you got over 1,000 away fans, there's always going to be queues for the beer, for the food. I think even at half time, they sold out of the pies. And I think there's a few people who are like, oh no, Ross, I can't have a pie. I want to try one of the pies. But luckily, apparently a lady came with this tray of freshly baked pies. So some fans were able to get the pies, but it was the terrace was very weird. Like it was across the whole length of the pitch. So you had a few people singing over there, then a few singing there. But as a whole, I think everyone just enjoyed the experience of being there. Of course, a win topped it. A sunny day. Of course, the fans were basically right in full view of the sun. So hopefully everyone did wear their sun cream. But I'm sure the experience of just getting to the ground was one to live in the memory for a lot of people. I know the people I travel with to the game, good old Liam from Crew, Matt Macon and Paul, big shout out to them. We got the park and ride in, and apparently one of the park and rides actually got stuck on the hill. It couldn't actually get up. So I think it had to get, I don't know how they had to sort it. I think they pushed it or whatever, but it was a bit, worrying because like these big buses, like these, small little tight roads, But yeah, a very unique away day. I think that's what we're calling it.
Excellent. Very good assessment there, Ross. You don't mind me saying. Sometimes your assessments I never really understand, but I understood that completely. That's very, very good. Thank you very much. Excellent. Good. And I love well, we parked at the primary school, didn't we, Andy? And then as we were coming back to get into our car at about 6:10, we suddenly worried perhaps the primary school gates might be closed because we hadn't bothered to check. Bear in mind, the little car was sitting there all on its own in the car park. But hey, I mean, that's all about the day. A quick word about the game. Look, the game's been talked about a lot and written about a lot already, so we know. Andy, here we are. Like I say, a couple of days on. I mean, what are your reflections then on that performance from Ipswich Town?
Yeah, there's a lot you could talk about, isn't there? Two good goals. We can talk about those in a minute. But I think an overall theme of I like how they saw that through. That's the big takeaway from me. I think you spoke to Marcus Harness after the game, and he obviously wasn't around last season, but he was saying that the talk in the dressing room was that last season we would have drawn or even lost this game, which from a 2-0 winning position at half-time should have been unthinkable. But nervy moments, saw them out and then actually went on to be quite comfortable in the closing stages. And that was the big takeaway from me, because they need to be better at that. They need to be so much better at getting leads and protecting them. That was an issue, particularly at the start of last season under Paul Cook. Playing against the promoted sides last season was a massive issue all season. They didn't win any of their 8 games against promoted League 2 teams last season, which is pathetic, quite frankly. And to have got one on the board already and see a game out like that, regardless of what went on before and regardless of the kind of the manic 15 minutes or so that could have lost it for them, that's the big thing for me. Just that's my big takeaway.
I'm pretty well the same, really, Andy. I must admit, so I did speak to Marcus Harness afterwards, and it was interesting that he brought up that stat about having not only taken 4 points from the promoted League 2 clubs of last season. There's obviously been discussed. It's obviously been discussed, which I like. I like to think they discuss these things in the changing room and don't sort of just us who talk about it. They actually know that. Kieran McKenna's obviously made them very aware of that and drilled it into them that, look, guys, you do realise you only took 4 points. I mean, I love that sort of thing, because I think that's fans need to know that rather than keep talking about free kicks, corners and set, they actually talk about the mental side of the game, which is this is what you actually didn't do last season. And it's got to change. So there was a lot. I sense there was a lot of, I mean, we also listened to Kieran afterwards as well, Kieran McKenna. There's a little sense of relief, wasn't there, Andy, in perhaps the way he was, not relief, but sort of he was glad to get that one over the line.
Yeah, he would have been like it took Ipswich. I think it was game 7. He obviously wasn't here at this point, but they didn't win a game until game 7 of last season, which again, not good enough, and it left them playing catch up all season. To win in game 2 will be a relief. It wasn't, there were moments where it looked like that may well not have happened. Like the first goal, Marcus Harness's goal, that came because of Christian Walton coming out, rushing out and narrowing an angle and denying Forest Green. Then within a minute, Town are ahead. There's a goal ruled out for offside once Forest Green have come back into it at 2-1, which would have made it 2-2, and then a brilliant double save from Christian Walton, which would have made it 2-2, or if that goal had stood, could have even made it 3-2 to Forest Green. So there were nervy moments, but I think he would have been relieved that moment passed, but also incredibly pleased with what he saw from his team in the final 20 minutes, because I thought they got themselves back on a footing in that game and were supremely solid. Then the 9 minutes went up, which 9 minutes is... I'm not quite sure where 9 minutes came from. There were some stoppages, but that was a bit mad. But actually, I don't think Ipswich were overly troubled within them. They saw that out fine, and the nervy moments just didn't come because Ipswich made sure they didn't. So, yeah, relief.
I'm thinking we'll see a lot of these high-numbered extra time minutes this season. I'll tell you why, because of all these substitutions. Because, of course, I know you can only make 3 ones at a time, but it does take up an awful long time, these subs these days. Players sort of stroll off the pitch about half a mile an hour, especially if you're winning. So I think we might see a bit more of those high added numbers. Anyway, Roscoe, the Town fans afterwards then, just a quick reaction from them. They were relieved, pleased, happy, overjoyed, sort of worried, anything? What was their thoughts?
At half-time, I think there's a few fans that came over to me and said, this is not going to be a Cambridge 2.0, is it, Ross? Because, we were 2-0 up, cruising against Cambridge last season. And then, of course, we then drew 2-2. And luckily, that wasn't the case for this game. But I think, yeah, just relief. We're now up and running. First win of the season, first 3 points in the bag. I think pretty happy with the performance. Sam Morsey's goal, what a goal that was. And just, some standout players. Lee Evans and Sam Morsey partnership is improving week by week. Cameron Burgess came in for Luke Wolfenden. Wolfenden missed out on this game because of illness, and Burgess I thought did really well actually. Really assured. And Christian Walton, a lot of praise for him. That double save. He's just a top class goalkeeper, and he's going to win us a lot of points this year because if he isn't in that net, we're conceding goals, and we could have, as Andy said, we could have lost 3-2 if he didn't say that in a disallowed goal. So a lot of relieved faces, and they left Forest Green very happy, even though some may have missed out on a beer or a pint.
Yes, but we didn't miss out. We didn't miss out on a pie, did we, Andy? I must confess, we had the Q Dog Brew, whatever it was called. What was it called, Andy? I've forgotten what it's called now.
The Q Dog. The
Q Dog. Not what did I say? Brew. Then what did that mean?
The brew goes with the dog. Brew dog beer. And the meat substitute was corn. So that's the Q. Q for corn, dog for brew dog.
Yeah. I quite enjoyed it. I must be honest, I quite enjoyed the pie. I'm sure that did town fans, Roscoe, did anyone say about? I do have a bit of my son is vegan, so I'm used to them. Did they say anything about the pies?
I didn't have a pie, which was sad. I just didn't want to go into that queue. But I think a lot of people were praising it. I think they're happy with it. I think some people, as I said, they're just relieved to actually get one because, the queue, and when they got told it got sold out, and then this woman comes along with a nice fresh batch of them, I think everyone was like, yes, I can eat. Because, you can eat chips and stuff, but you want a pie of chips, as we all know, Mike. But no, I think there's another unique away day experience in terms of the food because, normally you can munch into a nice burger, but they experienced a Q Dog. So I think a few liked it.
Good. Excellent. Right. Well, look, that's FGR. Before we finish FGR, I keep putting FGR, Andy, did you like that? I'm sort of, I don't do the whole Forest Green, right? My report, I kept putting FGR. I hope people understood what that meant.
You're very much on. I think that's a brand that they are very much kind of pushing. So I think I think Dale Vince and the people at FGR will be absolutely delighted with you. Almost as delighted as Kieran McKenna would have been with his goalkeeper's performance, among others, at the weekend.
Well, before we move on, to say a quick word, Andy, I just want to say 2 words. A player I think is outstanding in this division. She's got better and better as the last season went on, and he dominated on Saturday. Ipswich Town, what a captain, Sam Morsey.
Yeah, we know what Sam Morsey can do. He's got drive both for himself and for the collective. I think we both would have seen. I'm sure many would have seen the little berating he sent in the direction of Marcus Harness when a loose ball was miscontrolled and rolled out of play. But yeah, he's a top midfielder in the league, and it was a really nice goal as well. Nice goal as well, wasn't it? That he missed a headed chance inside the box, which he would think he should have done better with. He obviously had the one against Bolton a week ago that he should have done better with to win that game, but ultimately he has won this game for Ipswich with a goal from outside the box. I think Lee Evans is worthy of a bit of a discussion as well, because I don't think Morsey can be the player that he is without Evans in there. It's his job to sit deeper, screen in front of the back four, pick up possession, pop it off, and get Ipswich playing. So he did that really well at the weekend, and I think it drew Forest Green onto Ipswich a little bit when Evans had the ball, and the amount of times he just popped the ball off to Morsey, who had 10 or 15 yards in front of him to move into and get Ipswich moving up the pitch. So a really good performance from him, and a really well functioning centre of the midfield.
It's going to be interesting with Dominic Ball when he eventually becomes fit, isn't it? I mean, he's not just going to stroll back into that centre midfield parting, is he?
Nope, don't think he will.
That's going to be interesting. All right. Well, Roscoe, I mean, you did quickly mention Christian Walton, and also, I mean, Leif Davis has come into the side. I mean, had a little bit of a sticky game on Saturday. It probably was. He's still settling in, isn't he? And I think, I read someone said on one of the forums today about, Maurizio Tirico, a long time ago now, but when he first came in at left back, he had some sticky periods. So hey, look, Leif Davis is a good player, and he's going to get better. And he, you could tell basically disappointed being substituted, but he's going to come good, Ross. I hope.
Yeah, I thought he was growing into the game actually, and then of course he came off with a bit of a niggle, and I think he must be frustrated. This is an opportunity for him really to kick on. He's had a good full week on the training ground with his teammates. I thought he was growing into the game, but yeah, I think he wouldn't be £1 million player if he wasn't any good. So I think you just got to give him time, and it's just it's great to have Greg Lee as an option to come off the bench as well, because I thought Greg Lee once again showed what he can do. But yeah, I think no fans are getting worried about Leif Davis already. I think they're just going to give him time because he's just now bedding in to his new teammates, and I'm sure we'll see the best of him soon.
And finally, Andy, we'll finish about FGR now. Just finally, the substitutes. This ability to have 5 subs now is really going to benefit top sides. I mean, we'll talk a little bit about West Ham, Man City later on for a different reason. But you look at Manchester City's bench and who they could bring on. Well, Ipswich Town haven't quite got that sort of quality, but in League One they do have quite a bench, Andy, and that's going to be quite significant, I think, in the months ahead.
Yeah, I think you're right. You're right. It's not quite the same as I think Man City brought on Riyad Mahrez in the 88th minute. Ipswich can't quite do that, but look, they've got players on that bench that can change games. I thought this was really interesting this weekend, and we saw the same group of substitutes largely coming into the game against Bolton, kind of injected a spark and injected some life into it. Some attacking life with Town pushing for a winner. This time, they obviously brought threat, but I thought the group of substitutes this time, John Jules, Jackson, Aluko, came into this, and Vincent Young was another as well, came into this one and calmed it down a little bit. So different roles perhaps, but the same outcome, same positive kind of outcome from the subs bench. So yeah, it's definitely a weapon. And we were saying on the podcast last week about how being one of those substitutes is almost like a kind of a role in itself now, like a proper role in the team. So yeah, I think it could suit Ipswich, and it's no surprise that they all seem very positive about it.
Well, look, here we are, the Kings of Anglia podcast. I hope, friends, you're enjoying listening to us three sort of chat away here this Monday morning after the first big W of the season is on the score chart. Big W is there. It took 15 years last season to get one. Now we've got one within 2 games. That's right, W, Ross. Big W with your fingers there. It's very, very interesting. I wonder what you were doing there for a second. But anyway, now, look, we've got Colchester United in the Carabao Cup now. I really be interested to know, my friend, Mr. Warren here, what he thinks of this Carabao Cup match tomorrow night or Tuesday night against Colchester United. The last, what seems like a million years, was probably only 6. We just throw away our second game after first for a Carabao Cup game after a positive start to the season we have had over the years. Not perhaps last season, but we have had in years gone by. There's going to be changes, Andy, isn't there? Colchester United at home. And you've had a chat this morning. So who do you have a chat with this morning?
Caden Jackson, who doesn't take a brain surgeon to work out that the fact he was put forward for that conversation to kind of suggest that he might be one of the players that come into the side. And look, there'll be a group of players there that are very much looking forward to getting a start and having a chance to show what they can do. But in the car, we say so many times that if we could find a way to properly record our conversations that we have in the first hour driving away from away games, make some pretty good audio with some good football debate and chat in that time, among other things, which the other things not broadcastable, are they, Mike?
No, I tend to swear a lot in the car on the way home. I did notice that, and my wife's always telling me off for having a bit of a potty mouth, which I do apologise for. I don't on the podcast because I'm very aware the Heath monster would obviously dismiss me immediately if I ever.
Would he? He likes to chuck 'em in himself. I think.
Yes, to be fair, he does chuck in the odd rude one. But I mean, overall, I think I would be dismissed as being very naughty if I let my sort of bad language was to come out. But yes, you're right, and we do chat some good stuff on the way home. I expect you and Stu chat even more interesting stuff than me and you. We had a good chat on the way home, didn't we? About the Colchester game coming up as well. Look, I've even read people already saying, forget the Carabao Cup. We don't want to win at this. We don't have to do with it. We just want to get promoted. And I'm thinking, I just don't get this. And what winning is winning, and that's what I want Town to do tomorrow night. Win. Do you keep the same? No, you're not going to keep the same 11, are you, that played at Forest? Of course you're not. But do you need to make 8 changes? I think that's 7 or 8. That's what he's going to do, I think, because he implied that his after-match chat with us. So I think it's going to be that. But do you then lose the momentum? I don't know, Andy. What do you think? What what's probably going to happen?
Yeah. I think we know the pattern of it, and I can see the logic. There's a lot of kind of data at football clubs' fingertips that tell them certain things about loading players and giving them certain amount of minutes and when that might catch up with them and things like that. So I get that that's a really big part of the modern game, and clearly there are going to be some players that you think actually they probably should dip out. Like, for example, Wes Burns. I think we can all see that Wes Burns hasn't started this season in the manner that we have become accustomed to with him. It's not to say he's not contributing, because I thought he did do some good things on Saturday, but he's not the flying right-sider that tore the league apart on certain occasions last season. And we probably know why that is, because he had a very busy summer, a very emotional summer, I should imagine as well. Could he benefit from maybe having a bit of a rest? Probably. But then you talk about someone like Ladapo, who I quite like what I've seen from Ladapo so far. When he signed, I think I think we talked about it, and it wasn't, as I said, it wasn't one that hugely excited me, but I like what I've seen. I wanted to judge him with my own eyes, and I quite like what I've seen from him so far in kind of an understated way. But he would really benefit from scoring a couple of goals, and then. So is this Colchester game one that you play him in and hope that he does that and then takes that into MK Dons? And you made the point in the car on the way home that I think we'd both agree that Caden Jackson deserves to start a game as well. That's the other side of this. There are players deserving of starting. But you made the point in the car on the way home, Mike. Like, what happens if Caden Jackson comes into this side and scores 2 goals? Where does that leave Freddie Ladapo, the man who was kind of judged to be the right man to start the first 2 games, and all things being equal, probably deserves to start the third one as well against MK Dons. But what do you then do? You put the player back in who hasn't been scoring in place of the one who has, and it's a funny one, isn't it?
Well, I agree. This is totally interesting for me, because if say Jackson starts and scores a hat-trick, what happens on Saturday? What happens? Because if he doesn't start, what is that saying? It's almost as though, well, Ladapo would have got a hat-trick, or it's, to me, I sometimes think there's too many changes for the sake of too many changes. And there's too many stats. There's too many red zones, green zones, orange zones. Probably because I come from an era where players played 60 games a season and didn't really worry about it, and played 3 times a week and didn't worry about it. I'm not saying you're going to play your same 11 tomorrow against Colchester. You start, of course you're not. But I just don't like the lack of momentum you've created by winning at Forest Green. If something was to go wrong against Colchester and lose 2-1 or something like that, suddenly that just edgy thing. Then what are you going to do for Saturday? Then what are you going to do for Saturday? Say, well, all those guys who came in, of course, that was their fault. So we'll go back to, and I just think sometimes you create more problems you sort of solve by making so many changes, which is going to happen. It's going to happen, isn't it, Ross? There's going to be plenty of changes.
Yeah, that's the normal theme going into cup games. We've seen that in the past. Even on, I don't know, on the Paul Cook, we didn't make too many changes, did we, for the Newport County game? I think it was mad changes.
There's quite a few. Like, yeah. Bond started that game having come off the bench.
Okay, scrap that, what I just said. Yeah, he did make changes, and of course we lost against Newport County last year, and we always get knocked out really early doors, actually, in the League Cup. On the same boat as you guys, though, really, I'll make a few changes. Like Wes Burns, he looks knackered, and maybe a few other players, but just keep players who are in form, and just you want that winning mentality still in that the squad. We just won our first game on the weekend. Continue that on Tuesday. I'm sure Town fans still would like us to have a nice cut run. I know we're focusing on the league, promotion, all that jazz. But for me, I want to win cup games this year because it's just that momentum going into the next game. Definitely for Saturday against Milton Keynes, that's going to be a massive game on Saturday. They're a top team in this division. So 1 or 2 changes, but nothing mad. Give maybe some players an opportunity to start, like Caden Jackson, maybe. But then we're talking about Ladapo. He hasn't scored yet. If he could score a couple of goals against Colchester, then happy days. He's on fire again now. But it's one of those. There's a common theme going into these cup games. Are there going to be changes? Most likely, yes.
It is interesting, isn't it? I think it was Ross. I think they made 10 changes last season for the Newport game. But I'm torn on it because I do enjoy these games because I do enjoy watching the kind of the outsiders come in and have a chance to show what they can do. I'm sure there's an element of Kieran McKenna feeling that look, there are certain players here. If you talk about someone like Rakeem Harper, Cameron Burgess, obviously Burgess played at the weekend, but people like him and Darber, it's like if you don't give them a game in this one, you don't know when the next time you're going to get to evaluate them on a football pitch is, which is a valid point. Cameron Humphreys will hope to start this game, and I think we'd all like to watch him play. So there's definitely elements of it, but if it was me, I'd probably keep the overall structure of my team the same, but plop a couple in that I really want to have a look at. So, for example, Wes Burns comes out the side. Maybe have a look at Kyle Edwards, but in the proper Ipswich Town team that you want to see him functioning in, sort of going forward. So play him alongside Morsey, alongside Evans, with Chaplin in there, and then you can really get a true reading of, well, Kyle Edwards can play in that right-sided role, and I've got a real option there. Play Cameron Humphreys in the centre of midfield, but alongside someone like either Morsey or Evans, rather than with Harper, because I don't know if you'll get a true evaluation of either of those players by playing them together. But if you play them within the first team structure, maybe you can come away with a kind of a full evaluation of them. But I am torn on it because I do completely understand what I think probably the bulk of managers up and down the league would argue on this. And ultimately, if they go and beat MK Dons on Saturday, it's almost irrelevant what team was put out on Tuesday night. But it will be interesting to see just how many get made.
I mean, I think the thing is what we just remember is this is all very rather a popular change to football over the last decade, really, where clubs suddenly decided that Champions League was the most important thing. This has all come from the top leagues, top clubs. Remember, it's just filtered down now. It didn't used to be this way for League One teams and and even Championship teams. It's only the Premier League teams with their huge squads who suddenly decided to, say, right, we're making 12 changes. 15 million changes, they started that, and it's just filtered down, and that's to teams like Ipswich Town in League One. Even we're deciding we'll make 10 changes. Then it's just become a thing rather than an obvious reason. It hasn't really helped Ipswich in their league pursuits over the last half a dozen years at all. So anyway, doesn't really matter. Cool. So a few thoughts then, Ross, on the Colchester game. Obviously a few ex-Ipswich Town players going to be popping up.
Yeah, the old dogs: Luke Chambers, Cole Scouse, Alan Judge, Freddie Sears. That's everyone, I think. I think Emmy Hughes is injured again, unfortunately.
He is. Tommy Smith.
Oh yeah, Tommy Smith. Good old Tommy Smith.
Miles Kenlock's gone to where's Miles gone?
Yeah, Miles Kenlock has moved to Cumbria.
It's nice in Cumbria. I've had a couple of lovely holidays in Cumbria, Andy, I must be honest.
Yeah? Would you move there? Having lived in the southeast or like South London and then Suffolk for your entire life, would you move on your own up there as a young man in your early 20s on a 1-year contract?
Well, Silloth is a nice golf course. That's probably all I know. So if you can become a member there, that's quite a nice place. But and I have been to Workington Speedway, but I must confess that was a bit bleak.
Yeah,
so probably no. Now you've actually put me off. Now I'll stay where I am.
Well, Miles has moved, so I wish him all the best because I think the next move for Miles Kenlock. This is a great tangent, isn't it? Away from the Colchester. The next move for Miles Kenlock was going to be really really interesting one because he's obviously spent much of his formative footballing life in the Ipswich Academy, and then the only loan move he's ever had was to Colchester, which was packed with people that he knew incredibly well. So he's going out on his own here, and I think this is where Miles Kenlock's career will hopefully start. He can kind of go out on his own and set a tone for the rest of his career from this point on.
Yeah, good luck to Miles. So anyway, Roscoe, sorry. Yeah, so we go. You were rattling off all the ex-Town players, and we just totally interrupted you and went off at a tangent towards Cumbria, which, as we said, is a very nice county. So, but yeah, so you're looking forward to seeing some of the old boys.
I would say look forward to it. I'm actually not at the game, so I won't be looking forward to going. But I hope we do win. Last time we played Colchester and against the old dogs, we drew and we beat them on penalties, didn't we? Just about. Did they beat us?
No, Ipswich won that shootout. I think
we went through the next round.
Why do you keep calling them the old dogs? I don't understand.
I don't know. It's just it's in my head right now.
Like you think of Q dog pie, aren't you? That's the trouble.
Yeah, I think so. My good old phrase, good old Luke Chambers, good old Cole Scouse, and it's just like, yeah.
You can't call it your good old phrase.
No. But no, it's a League Two team, Colchester, that they struggled last year. I think they've done okay so far. I don't think they've put up trees so far in League Two, but we've got to win these games, and hopefully Kieran McKenna, this is his first opportunity to play in a cup game as well, because I don't think he was here when we were in the Papa Johns or the FA Cup. So his first ever cup fixture. So hopefully he gets that up and running, and we're into second round, and that's when Premier League clubs come in, don't they? So we can look out for maybe some of those.
They come in as early as that, Andy, do they?
Round two, yeah. The non-European ones. So I think Ipswich played Fulham in the COVID season. They played Fulham in round two. So yeah, I think maybe did Norwich come in round two as the last as a relegated club? I don't know if they do or not. I think at least one of the relegated clubs don't enter till round two. So they Birmingham. I think are they because they finished bottom? Are they? I think they might be in it then. But yeah.
What are your thoughts then, Andy? How do you see this one panning out?
Just want them to win. Really want them to win. I think they probably will. I think, like as Ross just said, I'm looking forward to seeing Kieran McKenna managing a team in the cup, because it was purely league all the way. They were dumped out of all of the cups by the time Kieran McKenna came in. Interested to see what team he picks. I think there will be changes, but there are players in there that I really want to see. I want to see Jackson. I want to see John Jules from the start. I think Aluko will play and could well captain the team. We know they're good players. Obviously, the Newport game you were talking about earlier, Ross, was the night where Sonny Aluko made his debut and looked incredibly rusty before coming round. So I think that's a point to show that you can't judge how it's hard to judge these players on just coming into the team for a cup game. Obviously, Aluko was slightly different because he'd only just signed, but Vincent Young, I'm sure, will play. So there's players there that you're thinking are going to have more than enough to beat a League Two team. You'd hope. They've got just 1 point from their first 2 games so far. So I want to see them progress, and they've got a squad that's big enough to attack on a few fronts this season. So they get a win and get through to round 2, and hopefully a bigger team and a bigger test.
Right, now that's it then. This is it's all about guess the scoreline time, the prediction time. This is time we do a prediction on the big game at Portman Road tomorrow, Ipswich Town versus Colchester United, Carabao Cup. I'm going to go to Roscoe first, because Roscoe, I think, bearing in mind, you say you're not going to be there?
Yeah, I'm not there.
No, nor am I. Never mind. Anyway, but we still do a scoreline, can't we? Because that's exciting to do a prediction. We like predictions. So go on then, Roscoe. Throw us one.
Well, I've been predicting the last 2 games, and I've got them bang on, 1-1 and then 2-1. So
let's just stop right there. You have already got the first 2 predictions of this. Bear in mind, last season you didn't get one right, or did you get one right? I think you got one right.
I got a few right. Yeah.
Have you just assumed that Ross got them all wrong?
Yes, I have. Because I know what sort of things he'd have said. He has said things like, "Oh, we got Forest Green, we're going to win 6-0," and stupid things like that. So I know he got most of them wrong.
That's Mark's job.
Yeah,
you're getting people confused there.
On the negative one, I'll be the negative one. Yeah, we just about win this, or just about draw this one. But no.
Apologies, Roscoe. You're more the negative one. Well, anyway, you didn't get many right. So now this season, you've got 2 out of 2. You're saying already. This is extraordinary, because I bet you, if I asked every single Ipswich Town fan in the stadium, right, on Saturday, did you get the first 2? I bet you it's about 1%. Not even that. That's how high up you are in the guest list. Go on then. Tell us we must just tell us what the score's going to be then, and then we won't decide whether to go or not.
Rostradamus is back.
Yeah. 2-0. 2-0. Solid performance. Yeah, I like that.
If you get that right as well, Roscoe, I'm not joking. This is extraordinary. And I'm going to go for 3-0. Andy.
I've got 3-0 as well. But
we know it's going to be 2-0.
Yeah. So we're just having a laugh, aren't we? We're just
mucking about, me and you. Yeah, me and you just mucking about. We might as well just say 10-0 because we know it's going to be 2-0. Might as well say anything. Well done, Roscoe. I didn't realise. Very, very clever. I mean, just very quickly change the subject for like 30 seconds. How's your driving theories test coming along? Is it any further?
I've got one this Thursday, so brace yourself, ladies and gentlemen. I will announce it. I'm sure we'll do a podcast on Thursday at some point, and hopefully it's before or after. Probably it'll have to be after, of course, the theory test, so I can tell you the result. Yeah. So fingers crossed.
No, we don't talk too much about it, Ross. We've talked about your driving far too much on this pod. So I mean, at least we now know what's going on. All right, Andy. Now, the millionaire picks. This
million pound picks.
What did I say?
Millionaire. That's the shortbread.
Millionaire. There's actually an aftershave million. Have you ever tried that aftershave million? It's called million goldy. So yeah, it's quite nice actually. Very expensive. They were quite expensive. Not very expensive. Quite Sauvage is my favourite aftershave though. Andy, I don't know about yourself.
Yeah, I'm not really. I have some aftershaves. Obviously, Manscaped. Eau de toilette is the best in the world.
Yes, of course. I appreciate that.
They do one, I believe, but aftershave's not really a passion of mine. If it's aftershave you want, Ipswich Town head of media Marcus Nash, very, very big into his aftershave. He if you want some aftershave chat, Mike, you're best off going to him rather than.
Well, I do like my aftershaves. I like the look kind of expensive. I like to do. Actually, I put it on Saturday, Andy, for our trip. You didn't mention I sort of smelt nice. I don't know why you. I suppose I found it a bit odd if you had suddenly said that, but you didn't, Rose.
I'll open my nostrils. I'll flare my nostrils a bit more next time, but I'm sure you smelt wonderful.
Okay. Of course, Roscoe with his beard doesn't want any on, so we won't bother about that. But anyway, going back to Andy and your £1 million picks then, Andy. Where are we at after the FGR 1 Ipswich Town 2? What happened?
A solid haul. As listeners will know, Sam Morsey to score has been a regular bet of mine going back to kind of January time in £1 million picks, and he did. At odds of 8-1 given to me by Mark Heath. So I had £50,000 of my of the company's money on that, and it won 450k. Sadly, my other bet was Town to win and hit the woodwork. Hit the woodwork twice, I think, or was it at least once? Well, either way, they didn't.
No.
So that part of it fell short, but we're in the plus territory already. We're in the black. The £1 million pot currently has £1.38 million in it. So
cash out.
I mean, that would be the sensible. The sensible thing to do would be to cash out before this season even begins, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Just don't play. Keep the money.
Anymore. Well, we could all go to Saint-Tropez, the 5 of us.
Is that what you'd want to do with that money? I'm not sure if I'd ever see any of you again, if I'm completely honest, with £1.38 million.
Well, we could split. Well, I don't know. Anyway, okay, right. So that's good, Andy. What a great start. So we have to have one for the Colchester United game, obviously coming up tomorrow or Tuesday evening. Now you obviously, I like the way you're sort of sitting back there, all relaxed, because you've got a good one here, haven't you? You've got a real tasty one here. You want me to give you odds on, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah. It feels tasty. As tasty as a Q Dog pie and the green cola that we had
didn't
with it
mention the
as well.
green cola, did we?
No, I quite like green cola.
Mm.
I don't know if you can get it sort of if it's readily available or not. I'll tell you what, it is more readily available. Can I just have a bit of a rant?
Absolutely, of course you can.
Right. We went to Millwall in pre-season. Ross, did you come to Millwall? Were you at the Millwall game? No. We went to Millwall in pre-season. And Millwall, for many years now, have been sponsored by Husky Chocolate. You cannot buy Husky Chocolate. It's not a chocolate bar, it's a drink. So it's either they do a hot chocolate or like a milkshake kind of thing. They don't even sell it in the ground. You can't buy it in the UK.
Absurd.
It's ridiculous. I've tried to for years since they started being sponsored by them. I thought, I'll try a Husky Chocolate.
Yeah.
They also sponsor the McLaren Formula One team. You can't buy it. They don't even sell it in. Like you went up. Like I went up to one of the kiosks at the Den, and they were selling like Cadbury's hot chocolate.
Oh,
joke! It's a joke.
Absolutely.
What kind of sponsorship is that going on? Anyway, that's an aside. Where are we at? Green cola. Yeah, that was nice.
Green. It was all right, wasn't it? Very nice. I never had green cola. I don't know what the difference was between green cola and any other cola or Pepsi Max.
I think all the sweeteners were kind of natural. All the sweetness were natural in it, and the caffeine was from coffee beans rather than kind of any added kind of chemical or that kind of thing. Maybe a bit more natural. Yeah. A bit more of a natural cola.
I know it made me a little burp after I had a little sip. I must be honest.
It did, didn't it? I heard that.
You did, yes. So, so that's the same sort of Coke I'm used to, Coca-Cola I'm used to. So I mean, I quite enjoyed it. Yeah. Anyway, we digress. Anyway, going back to this. So we're going back to this £1 million picks then, Andy, for the Colchester United game. Where are we at?
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping my scoreline of 3-0 comes in rather than Ross's 2-0 because it'll give me more of a chance of this coming off. But I've gone for, and I need you to give me the odds on this, Mike, before I place my stake. I've gone for Tyrese John-Jules, not only to score a goal, but also to provide an assist. Both.
Oh, I see. Now, let me think about that because I've seen Tyrese a couple of times now. Skillful, tricky in that last. He likes to get in the box and twist and turn a bit. I think he'll get a shot away. And he'll set things up. It's quite a clever little bet, that, Andy, because I mean that's not impossible. That's going to come off, That's not. So I'm not going to be overzealously generous. I'm not going to give you like 1,000 to 1 or anything silly because you'll just take the mickey out of it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you 9 to 1.
Okay, that's only slightly better odds than Sam Morsey just scoring a goal. So I'm going to start playing this a bit more sensibly this season. But it is early in the season, so I'm going to throw a little bit of money at this. I'm going to go for £50,000 on that, which, what's that returning? That would return 450 grand. Yeah. No, 500 grand, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Well, they're not over generous odds. I'll be honest with you, Andy.
That's fine. I'll take the odds.
I need to make money myself, obviously. It's not just about you. I mean, it seems to be all about you making lots of money to me. What about the bookie? He's got to make a little money. He can't
exactly. Like you see at the dog racing, the little blokes with their bags and their little boards. They're not handing out odds willy nilly because they want to take some money home in their little suitcase.
Exactly, Andy. So is that the only one you do? Is that the only?
Yeah. On this occasion, it is the only one that I'm going to do on this occasion. We'll see how that goes.
What do you think of that, Roscoe? Did you think that's fair odds, or did you give it a bit more generous?
I think it's fair. I think it's fair, and I think
John Jules, hasn't he? Done all right, John Jules. He'll be in. I mean, if he starts, which he probably will, he'll be in that box and he'll be shooting and he'll be all over the place, won't he?
Yeah, he's been lively the last 2 games, coming off the bench, and an opportunity from the start. And I'm sure he's going to score us goals this year when he comes off the bench or starts. So I think it's decent odds. And a good shout from Andy in terms of him getting a goal and a cheeky assist as well.
I do want the 3-0 though.
That's right.
Because if that's not part of the bet, but it would be handy because if it's 2-0 and he's scored one and assisted the other, there's no leeway in there. I need the 3 goals just to allow some leeway.
But if it's 2-0, that means Roscoe's got 3 on the bounce, which would be extraordinary, and we'd actually start having to question what's going on because there's no way Roscoe really is, as with all due respect, as brilliant enough to get all these like this. So something's going on somewhere. The questions would start to be asked if you were right 3 times on the trot, Roscoe. You do realise this?
Well, back in the day, I was called Ross the Dimus on the old podcast back when we were in our first League One season, wasn't it, Andy? I
And what
think.
you did have a very hot streak at one. I think it was at the start of a season as well.
Yeah.
Maybe you just play pre-season perfectly, and
Yeah.
you come and then you start to fade as the season goes on. But you've started well. You have had some little hot streaks of this in your time, and I don't know the answer to this question, but it wouldn't shock me as if we went back over kind of all the years we've been doing this, and you were actually the best predictor out of all of us, if I'm honest.
Brilliant. I'll tell you what, Roscoe. Nothing. You're impressing me more and more, and the only way you're going to impress me even more is to pass your driving test. And the first car you get is an Audi TT. That's what I want to see. And you pull up at the Anglian headquarters as we're heading off to Morecambe or Timbuktu or wherever we're going, in your Audi TT. That would, like, you just turn around and say, "This is my first car. It only cost me 28 grand," and then I'll be going, "Wow." But that's another side issue. Anyway, okay, so we move on. Now. I hope you're enjoying the pod, guys and girls, and boys and girls, and everybody else out there. I hope you're just enjoying listening to us chat away here about, of course, big W's already in the old chart. Big W win for Town. That's right. We're up and running. That's great stuff. Fine. Well, look now. A little change as we go into the last few. A little change of tact here from my good friend Mr. Hutch Warren. Of course, as we know, he likes his shirts and his kit rank. I hope everyone's been reading them kit rankings, by the way, on the East Anglian Daily Times website. All 92 kits, Mr. Warren sort of went through it and gave. Andy, that must have taken you years.
Yes, it's been 7 years in the making. No, it did take quite a long time. Not helped by some clubs being very slow in releasing theirs. I did start it 6 weeks ago, so yeah, it takes some time. But yeah, please go and read it. Make me feel like I haven't completely wasted my time.
Well, I read it, Andy, and I thought it was excellent.
Every word?
No,
every single word.
Not every single word. And you did try to test me on the way up to FGR on Saturday, which I thought was a bit naughty because I didn't. You know very well I haven't read one because my attention span isn't that great. But I did read most of it and I did like it. So Roscoe, have you read it?
I have indeed. I think I praised Andy as well. So that was a really good read. I really did enjoy it. And I think he did a good job of ranking all of them. And I didn't see Fulham's kit until I saw this ranking story. And I went, that is a beautiful kit. And of course, I saw them play against Liverpool on the weekend and get a draw. Mitrovic, of course, scoring already in the Premier League. It just looks, it's just a nice, clean kit. I like it.
Excellent. Well, I think kits are a big thing, Andy. I think you've done well there. But anyway, we're digressing a little bit from each other, and we'll digress a little bit because Flynn Downs, our former midfielder, of course, made his Premier League debut for West Ham United against Manchester City. I think he only came on for about 12 seconds, but that doesn't really matter. He made his debut. That's the main thing. Good for you, Flynn. Fantastic for him. And Mr. Warren, you were there to see it.
I wasn't there specifically to see it.
Not specifically to watch Flynn Downs make it happen.
I was there. I do pop down to West Ham now and again, and this was one of those. It was great to see. I think we all thought he could make the Premier League at some point. For him to do it at West Ham is brilliant. He's a Premier League player now. That can't be taken away from him. But I'm sure it's very much just the start. There's a lot more he'll want to do in a West Ham shirt. So yeah, great to see him get on the pitch in the Premier League. But goodness me, Erling Haaland is a monster. He's ridiculous. Like he was quite quiet for spells of this game, but just always looming. And when he opens his legs and runs, those long legs are ridiculous. He's going to score an absolute bucket load of goals.
I heard that Alan Shearer tweeted something about only 256 more to go or something like that. But obviously even Alan Shearer's already worried that this fantastic play. He's only 22, isn't he? If he's in for 10 years, he's going to smash it, isn't he?
He's not going to be in. I don't think he'll be here for 10 years. No. I think Shearer's record. I think Shearer's record will be safe. I think he's going to pull a Ronaldo and go to Real Madrid at some point. At some point, he'll get his job. He'll get his job done at Man City for a good 4-5 years, I think, and then head to Spain. But so I think Mr. Shearer can kind of rest with his record, but he is going to score so many goals.
And it's interesting going back to Flynn Downs because we did my favourite Ipswich. I've been doing my favourite Ipswich Town 11s with, and of course I did with you two guys as well. It proved very popular. Thank you for all those who have enjoyed listening to it. And Rich Woodward, I'll give a quick mention to Rich Woodward from Blue Monday podcast, because he actually mentioned this about Flynn Downs. He didn't mention Flynn Downs, he mentioned Aaron Cresswell, and say how sometimes players come into your team and they're going to go on to bigger things. And I suppose Downs was that sort of player, wasn't he, with us when we had him? We knew probably he was going to end up moving on. So, okay, it's a little bit disappointing he's not on a blue shirt anymore, but, got some money in and we can move on. So, right. Well, look, I hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast here on Kings of Anglia. And Ross, you have your finger up. I don't know why I don't know what that means. Either is that a question or are you? What happens?
Yes. I just want to quickly mention another man who made his Premier League debut on the weekend. Kiefer Moore scored for Bournemouth, and he wasn't very good when he played for us, but fair play to the lad. For him we signed him for 10 grand from Forest Green as well. Nice little link there. Nice little link to, of course, this podcast. But he has gone up the leagues. Fair play to the lad. Scores on his Premier League debut for Bournemouth. They won a game 2-0 against Aston Villa. So fair play, Kiefer Moore, Premier League as well.
That is two different ends of kind of the trajectory scale, isn't it? Because yes, we were talking about Flynn Downs as being a potential Premier League player, but we absolutely were not talking about Kiefer Moore being He's played international football. He played at the Euros for Wales, I think, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
And he's probably going to go to the World Cup in this year, and is playing in the Premier League. But he did not look even close to being that kind of player when he was here. So all credit to him for the hard work that he put in to work his way up the leagues through Rotherham, Barnsley, and then Cardiff.
Yeah, good story.
Is that it? Where else has he been? It's there, isn't it?
His last club was his last club Cardiff?
Wigan.
Yeah, Wigan.
Yeah. Oh, Wigan. He got Wigan up, didn't he? Yeah, of course. Yeah, so it's extraordinary, isn't it? Yeah, good for him. Anyway, well, look, that's all our ex-Ipswich Town. But we're more interested in the current crop, our current Super Blues, who have got the big. Have I said I've got the big W in the win column? I think I mentioned that 6 times now. But I think
you might have. Yeah. Could I just have Kiefer Moore's middle names? Do any of you know what Kiefer Moore's middle names are?
John Samuel Abraham Lincoln.
Yes.
No.
Am I correct?
That's it. No,
wow.
No, it's Kiefer Roberto Francisco Moore.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Italiano.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I like that. Oh, that's good. How come he's playing for Wales then? Well, he's Welsh, obviously.
He was born in Torquay.
Well, it's the plot thickens. Anyway, well, look, great. Well, look, we're coming to the end of the podcast. I hope you enjoy it. The sun continues to shine. I mean, I quite like all this sunshine. Do you like all this sunshine? I did a bit of sun cream on my nose before I went to FGR I'll say, just in case we were in the full sun, but we weren't, were we, Andy? We were sort of nicely sheltered. But I quite enjoy this weather, don't you, Roscoe? Are you enjoying the sun, or are you one of these people who doesn't,
I'm a summer baby, so born in July, so I love the sunshine. I tan very well, so I enjoyed the sun on Saturday to an extent, but then when I didn't have any water and I couldn't get any water from the big queues, I was like, I'd rather not be in the sunshine right now. But another heat wave apparently coming to our shores again.
Yeah, actually, I forgot to mention that you almost passed out in the car on the way home, didn't he, Andy? He was moaning away about lack of water. He didn't have a hat on, and we thought we'd have to stop and sort of. I mean, I said to you, Andy, I'm not giving him the kiss of life, and you said, well, I certainly aren't. So it was all a bit odd, really. But he was humming away about I need a drink, and
yeah, Mike, can you handle another 30 seconds talking about Kiefer Moore?
Of course,
the plot thickens even further.
Oh, I'm joking,
right? So I've just been looking this up because I wanted to know he qualifies for Wales through his grandparent, which is a pretty classic route. He also qualified to play for China, and he had long discussion. I did know this, but I'd completely forgotten. But he went to China to talk to them about. He's got a grandparent that makes him eligible to play for China. He had long talks about almost becoming a Chinese international.
Extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary what you find out, isn't it? Absolutely extraordinary. Wow.
He still looked terrible in an Ipswich shirt.
Oh, he didn't do enough for us, did he? No, we don't worry about that. But anyway, so, hey, look, we come to the end of the Kings of Anglia podcast, folks. Hope you've enjoyed it. And don't forget, manscaped.com. 20% off for all your bits and pieces and stuff. Even I've got one now. I've got one for my nostrils. Would you believe? My wife told me you've got a hair up your nose. And I said, I know what I'm going to do. Straight to Manscaped. Roscoe, if you listen to this on audio, he's showing up something, so you don't understand what he's doing. But if you watch this on video, he's showing up a pack of something. What is it, Roscoe? Tell us.
It's his little wash bag.
Little wash bag with Manscaped on it.
Good man.
You've actually bought the weed whacker, have you, Mike?
Yes, just to go up my nose. Yeah,
it's a good one, isn't it?
Very good. Yes, I pushed a bit far to start off with. It made my eyes water. So you've got to be very careful with this. You can't just go ramming everywhere else. But a little hair on my ear as well, which I managed to clear out. So Manscaped, doing a great job for myself and for all us men who have little hair issues. Perhaps. What about yourself, Andy? Have you got anything yet, or are you still sort of not at that age yet where you need to worry?
I'm 35. Yeah. The weed whacker is my favourite part of the Manscaped range. They're getting their bang for their buck here, aren't they? As you get older, Ross, the nostril hair needs to be looked after more sensibly. Obviously, you have a full awareness of what you need to do to look after body hair, given what's going on your face. But just look after those nostrils, because if you're not careful, they can get away from you as you get older. It doesn't look great, I don't think. I know some people that need to, and I'm not going to name them.
No. Yes, name them.
No. I'm not going to. I can't do that.
It's not Heathy, is it?
No comment.
Okay.
No, it's not. But there are certain people that I know that need to look after their nostrils better. Yeah. So
absolutely.
If you receive one of these in the post from me, that's probably a hint that it might be you.
Okay, everybody. I hope you enjoyed listening to the Kings of Anglia podcast. I'm Mike Bacon, the Grand Porcianus, Porky, and Bagron Pianianus. My friend, Mr. Andy the Hutch Warren, and Roscoe Hawes, of course, the three of us. Hope you enjoyed that. Of course, hey, I would say any other business, but really we've run out of time, so we ain't got any other business anymore. I'm not going to do any. And Ipswich Town tomorrow. I hope they beat Colchester United in the Carabao Cup and then draw. Oh, I don't know. Aston Villa away, I don't care. But anyway, as long as we win tomorrow, that's the main thing. And of course, MK Dons, there'll be another podcast between now and then. And MK Dons on Saturday, of course, my good friend the Heath Monster will be back, of course, with all his nice flashy little ties and shirts and his teeth and everything else. And we'll look forward to him hosting it. Andy, a quick goodbye to our friends, our KOA family.
I thought we didn't have time for anything else.
Just say something.
Goodbye, everybody.
Roscoe.
Ciao. Have a good week.
Ciao. Well. Goodbye, everybody. We'll see you again. Later this week.